good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. If you are hearing me, please give me a sign, thumbs up. Can you hear me, guys? Yes, thank you very much, Rugaba, for letting me know. Thank you for the song, We Are the World. I like this idea. We are the one, we are the children, we are the one who need to make this world a better place. We are the one who can make a better day for others. And let us start giving. What I was thinking, what do we give? There is so much to give. You can give your voice, you can give your time, you can give resources, finance, or other resources to make our world a better place. So let me thank you for being here today. My name is Eric Ngoga. I am a human rights activist and I am from Rwanda. So for me, today it is a privilege because I will host a discussion about a new organization called the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect. It is a new organization in the Rwandan civil society. So, what is very important for me is that this is something that calls me. This is something that makes sense to me because in the history of my country, Rwanda, I have seen how inaction creates tragedies and that silence only brings injustice. So for me, to act, to do something about what is happening in our lives, what is happening in the lives of others, is something that is a moral duty. So it is the right thing to do. And as many thinkers in the history have said it, actually, it is a necessity. It is not an option. Now, this this discussion is happening in a very important month in the United States, in some other countries around the world, a month that we call the Black History Month. This is a month where um, which is celebrated every year, and it is a time to honor and to shed light on the achievements of the Black people during the history of the humanity and on the culture side of the humanity. So this month, the February, is the month where Abraham Lincoln was born and someone called Frederick Douglass. He was a slave. He taught himself how to read and to write, and he became an activist to help to end the slavery. He contributed to the emancipation of enslaved people. So this discussion today, the song that we started with reminds us that what we can do is in our own hands. We, if you look at it in the sense of the human history, we are talking about this Black History Month. Victims or people who may be seen as they should be overlooked contributed and contribute to the better of our world. So we are in this world today. We have the time to contribute right now. It is our time to contribute. It is our time to change our lives in the lives of our brothers and sisters who struggling in Rwanda or around the world. So today we have a discussion with the executive director of Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, and I see that he is already in the space. So, Ansbeir, I am going to welcome you on this discussion. I would like you to open your mic and start by introducing yourself to the audience. Tell us who you are and how did you come up to be involved with Rwandan Metics Youth Connect. Ansber, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me now, Eric?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Let me start by first apologizing for being late. I had some technical issues with my devices, but finally I can join in and hopefully contribute and give a better or even more information about Rwandan Metics Youth Connect. So I'll start by first of all thanking you, Eric, for creating this platform, but also for the great job that you do advocating for people, for Rwandans, for those who are suffering around the world. It's a noble cause. It's highly commendable. So thank you very much for the job that you do. My name is Ansbert. I am a Rwandan living in exile. I'm based in Australia, Brisbane. I'm a trained professional in healthcare and also a business person. I would say I'm a young person because as per standards of the world. And I am very glad and highly excited to be in this platform and having these discussions about our lives, about our future, about the future of those that can't speak for themselves, those that do not have access to these platforms, those that the voices are not heard. So thank you, and I hope that we're going to have a very good discussion. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, welcome, Ansber, in this discussion, and thank you for being here. Well, how did you get involved with Rwandan Metics Youth Connect?
Getting involved with Rwandan Metics Youth Connect is something that came in naturally. It's technically by default because, by definition of metics, a word that comes from the ancient Greeks referring to people that are marginalized. I found myself being into the group or categorized under this because this is a true reflection on my life, how I grew up, how I lived, and it's basically by default. What I mean by default is that I am basically a metic myself. So I feel that I've been marginalized. I feel that my voice have not been heard, and I feel that there are other people out there that needs to be their stories needs to be known and be heard. So this idea came about I would say 12 months ago when we as Rwandans, young Rwandans, decided to do something about our story, about our lives, about our issues and problems that we have. We came together as young Rwandans and sat down and reflected on our journeys and decided that it's high time that we do something about our problems, our issues, and that's how Rwandan Metics was born, and that's how I was involved because I feel that I am a metic myself, and I believe there are other hundreds of thousands of young Rwandans who probably feel the same or who are currently facing some level of injustices that they should be able to, or they should come and join this movement. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Ansber. You know, we are in this together. When I was preparing for this discussion, and I was saying I am a human rights activist. You mentioned the word metics. You say how marginalized you grew up, how your history, your story uh, connects with that perception of being marginalized in your own country. But we have to remember Rwanda is a dictatorship, an authoritarian regime where basically a group of few people owns much in the country, and most of us are left behind, left out, or even when we have something, we have to be reminded that the system is giving us those opportunity, and we have to thank them. And I was thinking that actually, in a situation like that, everybody should be a human rights activist. Everybody will should feel like he is a ethics because so many are left out of the benefits that being a citizen bring to everybody. So thank you for telling us about your story and how it connects with Metics. Now, for those who are hearing for Rwandan Metics Youth Connect for the first time, uh, during your discussions and coming up with the idea of creating a new organization, what does Rwandan Metics feel as a gap that is existing in the issues that Rwandans are facing as refugees that human rights platforms have not adequately addressed? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, excuse my voice. It's early in the morning here in Australia, so I'm not very tuned in yet. Look, Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, first of all, it came in at the right time when it has been many decades in which the regime back home has been in perpetual conflict with its own citizens, uh, not only with its own citizens, but also with regional with neighbors and even distant countries. This has created a continuous or a chronic problem of refugees. I believe Rwanda is probably one of the very few countries in the region that has been exporting refugees for over probably 5 decades now. And one of the issues that we thought and we think needs to be addressed is the issue of refugees in Rwanda or refugees from Rwanda. There is no country, I think, on this planet that you can't find a Rwandan refugee. You go to Malaysia, you find one. You go to Poland, you find a Rwandan refugee. You go to Mexico, you find a Rwandan refugee. So we see this as a serious problem. We see this as the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. And this is the gap. We have a lot of political organizations, people who are politically active, and we appreciate what they do. They focus on politics, on trying to get in power, but that human aspect, that aspect of refugees, about people who are marginalized, about children and women that have no voice, that have no future, that have no hope, that do not know what tomorrow is going to bring. That is the gap. That is the area that we focus. So our mission statement is very clear about this, Eric. Our mission statement says that we are creating a platform to discuss and find solutions that will end the problems of refugees in Rwanda. So the gap that we aim or that we intend to basically close or fill is this issue of refugees. Because if you don't have, if you have a stable country, if you have a government that truly looks after its own citizens, you will not have refugees. So we're trying to say, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's discuss about these issues that are causing people to be refugees. Let's stop. Let's actually advocate to stop issues or political issues that makes people become refugees. We have journalists. I think Becker is a journalist. You know, to see a young journalist fleeing into exile simply because of doing their job, it's really not acceptable, especially in 2026. So the gap that we see is a regime that has been in continuous conflict with its own citizens, with its own neighbors, that has been creating chronic refugees in the region. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, well, I like that idea that is human aspect of what is happening in Rwanda, what is happening to the youth, the young generation of Rwanda, and as the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, you have mentioned the marginalized aspect of most of the Rwandan youth about what is happening in Rwanda, but also this connecting. Actually, when you talk about the country, that is our first connection as a group of people who are supposed to be looking after one another, making sure that everybody is safe, making sure that everybody has the opportunities that they deserve. And I think that mission is a noble mission. And also, let me take the opportunity to say hi to Wellington and thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us today. So you you mentioned you are tackling the root causes of refugee displacement rather than trying to think about the symptoms, because what we see are people fleeing. That is a symptom of something deeper, because it is not normal to see a person who is successful in their own country decide to leave behind everything and then go to live in exile for some people, or to see people who were born in exile, grew up in exile, and they can't go back to their countries because there are so many things going on, that root causes. So what does it look like in practice for you to achieve your goal, and what is the approach that you're going to use to achieve that goal?
Thank you, Eric, for such a great question. Addressing these is it requires really looking at um, looking at some uncomfortable questions that needs to be asked, um, which sometimes could come with a heavy price. People have paid heavy prices. Achieving these goals requires us to work together, unity amongst Rwandans, especially the young people. This has been a lacking factor when you look back, because Rwandans have been divided on many grounds, and this has given a very good leverage to the current regime to keep oppressing Rwandans. So, one of if I may say, one of the very key aspects that we're trying to achieve is to really create a unified a platform where all Rwandans are represented But to be very specific on these issues is that, first of all, we need to be able to tell our stories. Rwandans been basically forced to go into their shells. People are scared to talk of their stories, of their journeys. And unless we can speak up for ourselves, unless we can tell our own stories, unless we can tell the world what we have experienced, unless a young child in a refugee camp can um, go on a TV, on a screen, on a phone. Nowadays, we're very lucky. We live in an era where um, where the main news media cannot monopolize the views or the narrative. So the very first thing we need to do is to be brave, is to come out of our shells, is to really be, be really come out and tell our story to the world. Unless our story is heard, no one is going to address our issue. So one of the very approaches that we aim to use is storytelling. Is a very powerful tool. Um, Telling someone a story is incredible. It's quite impactful. So secondly, we aim to approach or collaborate or inform uh, international organizations, stakeholders, people that have a say, people that can influence these changes, people that can push or can basically uh, uh, amplify our voices to a much larger platform or much larger audience. That is a second sort of strategy that we aim to use. But we also aim to basically assist refugees in some less complicated sub issues that we can assist with. Because as much as we are young and refugees ourselves as well, but there are things that we can do for ourselves. For instance, um, we can organize or do fundraising for school fees for kids in refugee camps. We can fundraise for medical equipment or medical supplies for elderly and young people in refugees. Projects that could assist in some level of training, could be vocational trainings for refugees or people living in marginalized and displaced camps. So, Eric, what I'm trying to say is there are obviously things that requires some level of engagement with different stakeholders, but there are also things that we can do ourselves. So things that are very practical, things that can result in direct outcome, but also things that needs a bit of engagement, a bit of contacts, a bit of diplomacy, if I may use for the lack of a better word. That is how we aim to achieve our goals with both practical approaches and also engaging those that can that can really amplify and reach to bigger and probably more effective platforms. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ansber. This idea of storytelling, this idea of uh, pulling up new generation of Rwandans who are struggling somewhere in the world. Actually, when you was talking, it reminded me what I was saying at the beginning of this discussion about Frederick Douglass. He was a slave. He educated himself to know how to read and to write, and then he started to be an advocate. He became an activist. He wrote books. He gave speeches to make sure that everybody understands what is going on with the black people in America. So as you mentioning it, I really think that that is a good strategy to pull up the people, to make people feel less metics, as I may say, and feel more deserving their human rights. Kids deserve to go to school. People deserve their history, their story to be known and to be heard and to be expressed. And I think it is very important to try that shift of the public opinion through storytelling. And I want to come back on this issue of refugees. We know we have too many refugees, Rwandan refugees around the world, but most of the time we are told they are refugees, but we don't know the faces. Most of the time we are hidden. We are in the background. We don't know the human history behind that tragedy of so many people outside of their countries struggling in foreign countries. So, what's going to be your strategy to make sure that the global shift changes around the narrative of the Rwandan crisis of refugees?
Thank you, thank you, Eric. You're very right. The current regime have managed or have successfully achieved this sort of narrative where if someone says they're Rwandan refugee, what people think is either they're genocidaire or they're the corrupt person, they have done something wrong, they are basically a criminal. And that one the international community currently sees because everyone thinks Rwanda is a Singapore of Africa, and therefore people have no reasons to be refugees or to be running away from Rwanda. But in reality, we know that Rwanda is a closed jail. It's Rwandans live under the worst dictatorial regime probably in the world. I always compare Rwanda with North Korea, only that Rwanda have managed to basically sell this image of a successful nation. But as I have mentioned again, we know very well that it's it's really more like a medieval monarchy uh, that commits crimes with impunity. That citizens are always fleeing in exile in numbers, both for security reasons, for economic reasons, basically because the regime have created environments where Rwandans cannot really get their basic rights, cannot be successful in their country. So one of the objectives or one of the goals that we have as Metics is to change the public opinion about the conditions of Rwandan refugees. And this requires a collaboration. This requires a lot of educational approaches, a lot of storytelling, requires a lot of community level engagements. It's not something that really would happen easily because, as you know, PR and the amount of resources that the regime has engaged in this front is quite enormous. So one of our approaches, again, is telling our own story the way it is, being very ethical and telling what we have experienced, telling why we we are refugees, why we have people who've been refugees for 30 years that can't go home. Let these people come and tell their stories. Let's create a platform where these victims of the RPF regime can come and actually tell their story. Because, again, for the past 30 years, it has been extremely hard. Because any moment someone comes on and start telling their stories, they are labeled as those derogatory terms I have used before, which is basically very untrue, and which is, as we know, quite incorrect. So one of the biggest goals that we have, one of a challenge that we have, is to be able to ask, or to be able to inspire our people to overcome the fear, to be brave, to know that their story matters. Their story needs to be heard, and unless they're heard again, we cannot achieve any meaningful change, or the world will never know our story unless we tell it. So, Eric, we aim to increase positive media portrays about Rwandan stories. We aim to organize community events and workshops. Nowadays, we have this technology. We can host these kind of things that you do, things like space, like webinars, things like um, community events in different countries that we live in, and actually tell the world about our story, tell the world about our sufferings. Make sure that wherever you are, whoever you're with, you're telling them what the real issue is, why Rwandans are running away from their home, why people are leaving their homes and becoming refugees. Uh, it can only be achieved if we all work together, if we all overcome our fears, if we know that as we speak for ourselves, no one ever will. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, you mentioned we speak for ourselves and we speak for others. I can add that because we know that when we see injustice and then we stay on the side, actually it does not go away, and we are part of the issue at that time. So, Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, as an organization of the civil society, I think it is very important. That is how I see it. This idea of being uncomfortable in front of injustice is very important because, for example, um, in this since the beginning of the year, there are two people who have been affected by what is going on in Rwanda. One is a politician, the other is a civilian, someone who is fighting for his own rights, and then he goes disappearing in Rwanda, which is like the government is telling the people, we are going to brutalize you, and you say nothing, and it's saying to the politicians, you cannot express your own views because we own the political space, and as the population, we are supposed to be comfortable with that. We are supposed to see the injustice and just go our own way, or we decide to just accept that this is how things will go forever. So being able to tell our stories, being able to educate ourselves about our rights, being able to know injustice and see it and recognize it and try to contribute to end that in a way that is benefiting the victims, that uplift the victim, that create the connection. That is something very, very powerful that I think the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect is trying to achieve. So, can you talk about a little bit your other objectives? You have mentioned the education. You have mentioned contributing to the well-being of the refugees. Do you have other objectives?
Yeah, yes, Eric. We do have four main objectives, four main goals. I probably will outline them so it's very clear and people can actually follow and get to know them very well. The first goal is to raise awareness of the Rwandan refugees at national, regional, and global level. I think I did talk about this a little bit. I went into depth to explain what we mean and how we aim to achieve this. Our second goal is to change the public opinion about the conditions of Rwandan refugees. I think I was just talking about this just before. And our third goal is to form regional and global alliances. I'll go a bit deeper into that, but prior to that, let me also mention our fourth goal, which is about finding human and financial resources to support in finding solutions for the refugee crisis. So these are our four main goals. I'll talk more about forming regional and global alliances. As they say in English, they say there is a saying that goes by "No man is an island," which basically means that we need partnerships. We need to work together, both regionally and globally. What I mean by this is that, for example, we have what is known as the Gen Z in the region. We have a very strong presence of Gen Z in Kenya. And recent events in Tanzania, for instance, where citizens, in the name of democracy, had to stand up, mostly in Kenya. So, what we mean by this, forming a regional and global alliance, is basically trying to connect with other people from different regions, especially those are in the same conditions, that are in the same context with us, but even those who might not be, those who might be able to assist in making our issue, our problem known. We have to identify them. We need to form alliances with them. We need to connect again at both personal level and at an organizational level. So this is a goal because we fully understand that unless we have partnerships, unless we can cultivate relationships with both government and non-governmental organizations, our goals will be very hard to achieve. So I put an open invitation to whoever is going to listen to this discussion. If they feel that they sort of in line, or they have the same objectives and goals and directions with what Metics is doing, we really have an open policy. Would really be open to start some conversations about this. But also those that might be in a different directive or directions. I mean, we're very happy to collaborate, talk with different groups, different people, and try to see how we can harmonize our efforts, how we can try to basically join our hands, join our forces to make this cause, this colossal cause, um, uh, more known, more heard, more stronger, and speak with one voice. Uh, so this is what we aim under this goal, to establish that network, to cultivate the relationships, to develop partnerships at both regional and international level. And the last but not least is the finding resources, both human and financial resources. We know that these things requires resources to be able to mobilize and actually get things happening. So we'll be appealing to different entities, both organizations and individuals, seeking the support in different ways. It could be expertise in certain areas. It could be consultations. It could be network establishments. There are many of resources that we require to be able to be truly a voice for millions of people that cannot speak for themselves. And we believe that we can definitely achieve it, as long as we are very strategic, as long as we very honest and open about these issues and discuss from a human perspective, and from a human to human perspective. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Ansber. Well, Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, you have this big goal to change or to contribute to the bettering or to better situation for Rwandans Metics. And in my perspective, that is an achievement that's going to be able to happen through democracy, a country that has democracy, that goes by the rule of the law, that gives that allows the people to express themselves. That actually, for the last 30 years, to mention the regime that is in power in Rwanda, for the last 30 years, it looks like a huge undertaking. And what is going to be the definition of success for Rwandan Metics Youth Connect? When, for example, it is not going to end in 1 year, but from now, in 1 year, how are we going to define, or we are going in the right direction?
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Again, you have mentioned of this undertaking, this project, as a quite significant and quite a big. It's very true. It's something that is bigger than all of us. We were born. We grew up seeing these things. Some generations that came before us experienced the same. As I have mentioned, that this issue of Rwandan refugees dates back to over 50 years now. So it's quite an undertaking. It's quite a closest cause. And for sure, achieving these goals isn't something that is going to happen overnight. It's something we have to acknowledge. But also, we know that we have strength in numbers. We have strength in ourselves, and if we believe in the cause that we do, if we believe in the truth, if we believe that what we're doing is actually is going to change hundreds and millions of lives, we absolutely have a hope that we achieve our goals. Now, going back to your question about how will we measure our success in 12 months, first of all, we have the launch for Rwandan Metics Youth Connect. We have an official launch happening on the 7th of March in Brussels. Um, that is the very first success. As you know, most projects, most people start projects and they end up in on papers, in theory, in meetings. But we're taking the first bold step. We are traveling from across the globe, meeting in Brussels, to basically officially launch Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, but also use that opportunity to connect as young people, to really sit down and discuss and map out what we should be doing and where we should be heading. We have our strategic plans, of course, in place, but meeting as Rwandan youth as Metics and discussing this thing is a significant achievement for us, because it comes with massive strength and effort to be able to mobilize and organize such things. There will be other practical issues, other practical outcomes that we aim to have. One of them is to, on the very least, connect with Rwandan refugees around the world, especially those in refugee camps, those in very remote places that really are rarely known or are rarely spoken of, or that the international community has ignored for decades. So we aim to connect with them, use the technology that we have now, use the resources that we have to connect with them, and ensure that we can bring them to the world. The world can see them, their voices can be heard. And unless we are able to connect and identify and really bring them to this platform, it will be extremely hard. So that is one of our goals that we aim to achieve, but also to raise these issues to the relevant. We have the UNHCR headquarters, I believe, in Geneva. We need to make these contacts at least in the next 12 months to ensure that this issue is basically spoken of. It's on the table when people are discussing. This issue is not completely put in the shelf or put under the table. It needs to be at the forefront of our minds, of those that make decisions. So that is our third or objective that we aim to achieve, but also to try and expand our organization. We aim to make our organization more of a global organization. We aim to open branches, Metics branches, or Metics, not sites, Metics, basically chapters in different parts of the world, in Africa, in Australia, in Europe, so we can really reach people on the very ground. We can basically connect with people from where they live, not necessarily on these platforms, but being able to reach out to in their respective countries and understanding their daily struggles. When we come here, sometimes we have an hour, we have maximum 2 hours to discuss these things, but we need to go to the very least level and try to understand refugees' daily struggles, what they face, how they feel, in order for us to truly reflect and tell their stories ethically and correctly. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. So thank you, Ansber. Well, I want to remind everybody here that we are speaking with the executive director of Rwandan Metics Youth, and we are talking about this new organization, the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, which is a new born in the civil society of the Rwandan community. It is a new idea. It is a new um, group that wants to contribute to have a better life for Rwandan inside the country and outside of the country, especially focusing on the refugees. And we have been here for the past 1 hour. And for those who have been here since the beginning, thank you very much. For those who joined during the talk, thank you very much. Now, if you want to ask some questions to Ansber, you can ask the mic and we give you the mic. Before we go on the first question that we have, Ansber, I was listening to the last question I asked you, and the way you answered to the question, it reminded me of a saying that says, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And there is also, because you mentioned this event, the launch of the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect in Belgium on the 7th of March. But also, there's another thing that says people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. So I don't know if you want to give like 1 minute about these two things, and then we pass to the first person who asked for the mic. Asbel, can you hear me? Go ahead.
Yeah, you had muted all of us, Eric. Um, just to clarify and try to make sure that I understand your clearly, are you asking about both short-term and long-term goals? Um, is that you? Because I did really get the question. I want to make sure that
No, it is just the, what is your take on that, on those two things?
those two statements about
Yes,
people overestimating their 12 months plans and underestimating their long-term goals. Yeah,
and a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
exactly. For anyone to start anything, for example, I am in business. Um, I know that I sometimes I do a bit of mentorship, coaching people who wants to start this. This is more like a side story, by the way. You always meet people that have great ideas, great initiatives, really good business plans. But what differentiates or what separates people who actually have successful business and those who don't is that those with successful business take bold steps and they actually take that initial step to engage or to put their ideas into applications or to implement them. It's very, very true. You cannot walk unless you start by crawling. You cannot uh, run unless you start by walking. So, what I'm trying to say is we have to start from somewhere. We cannot sit back and watch and be passive, passive citizens in the face of tyranny, in the face of oppression, in the face of um, extreme marginalization, when millions of people live in deplorable situations, and we sit back and do nothing about it. The very least we can take that first step. So it's very, very true. I agree with that statement. We need to start from somewhere, and the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect is the start. So short-term goals, as I have mentioned before, are very basic. Not basic in the sense that easy to achieve, but basic in the context of the bigger context, in the bigger issues that we're talking about. Because we're talking about a regime that has transnational repression, a regime that crosses borders to commit crimes, to hurt critics, to silence people. Um, not many regimes in this world operates the same way as the RPF regime does. Most regimes that I know, if a critic leaves the country, most of them they forget about them as long as they're not active, or even if they're active but they're outside the country, most regimes will not really be bothered much. But we know very well that with the RPF, they will try to even assassinate people. Their operators, the way they operate is extremely is for the lack of a better word, it's something that shouldn't be happening in 2026. That's why uh, when we're thinking of long-term goals, we also have to acknowledge that there is a serious issue that needs to be addressed, a regime that exports terror in far lands, in far distant countries. So when we're thinking of long-term goals. Those are issues that we also have to put in context. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ansber. And the last, what you were mentioning, the regime in Rwanda. I always think that clearly, and I think everybody here would agree with me, no citizen would like to live in a country where they don't feel safe. And it is every citizen hope to live in a safe country where they can exercise their jobs safely without being um, the target of the regime, where they exercise their rights without needing to leave the country. And I agree with you. The bigger picture is a Rwanda safe for everybody. But as an NGO, we focus on those aspects of contributing to the best of the people we can see, we can reach using the means we have in creating the means through networking. So, thank you. Let me get the first questions from Gandhi. Gandhi, go ahead and unmute yourself and give your thought.
Good evening, everyone. My name is actually Nicholas, not Gandhi. I'm also a civil rights defender. Uh, I'm not Rwandese. I was on here yesterday, and people happened to be speaking, I think, in the local dialect, which I was not uh, understanding very well. I'm South Sudanese, but I grew up in Uganda, so there is a bit of Kinyarwanda that I get, though not completely. But for the most part, I came on here, and the first get I really was able to everything that you were discussing, which quite appealed to me, and also given the kind of work that I do and the things that I've seen, especially happening in these parts of the world that we are in or where we come from, our problems are quite similar. And mine is basically a show of solidarity and basically saying this initiative that you people began was long overdue. I have, in my experience, been able to interact with a lot of people from Rwanda, and uh, and then I also ever been to Rwanda myself through my church. I'm an SDA, and I've I've sort of been able to understand the kind of freedom that Rwandese have in the country, and then also how they see themselves after leaving the country. And also hearing from you people here, I even appreciate further the fact that the regime is selling out if that is actually not true. And also recently, I've been following a lot of people from Rwanda who have given me the impression that things are not really good there. Some of them are OBs and OGs that I studied with. Uh, all in all, really, mine is to say the initiative that you've begun is really a good one, and I am there with you. It is basically a show of solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, for your support. Actually, As Ansbert said, let me give you Ansbert the floor to say something about what Nicola said.
Yeah. Thanks, Nicholas, for your kind words, but also for the show of solidarity with us. It is very true that the Rwandan regime have to silence or critical voices or critics or independent journalists. So really, what the world sees is what the regime wants the world to see. It's a well choreographed image that has been sold to the international community. And unfortunately, Rwandans pay price for it because that means that you can't live freely in your country because the regime wants to paint a certain image. You can't farm what you want to farm, what is appropriate and important for your family because the regime wants to um, maybe plant these so they can be seen as a country producing certain products. Uh, you can't build a house within your means because the regime wants to give an impression that Rwanda is the developed country. So you are forced to build at a certain level, even though you not be able to afford it. Um, there are a lot of examples that I can give. So I'm glad that our friend understands and acknowledges that, and we hope through this Rwandan Metics Youth Connect that a lot of people, especially in our region, in the Eastern African Community region, will be able to see this, will be able to see through and actually understand the pain that Rwandans live in. At least they can see through and come in support and in solidarity with Rwandans that are suffering. I implore our young people in the region, the Gen Z, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Burundi, in Congo, to stand in solidarity with Rwandan Metics around the world, to understand that we are in a struggle. We are trying to um, really get our voices, our crisis known, our pains, and the oppression back home exposed to the. So we really, really are thankful. Again, we use this opportunity to invite, to openly invite other young people around in Europe from different countries to our launch on the 7th of March again in Brussels. If you live in Europe or around Belgium, it will be an honor to have you join us on our launch and also have these discussions on a much deeper sort of level. I'll give the mic back to you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Ansbert, for your words to what Nicholas. What I want to mention is what you said, a well choreographed situation in Rwanda, and that that reminded me what we're talking actually about. Nicholas was mentioning that he followed us yesterday. We were talking about the public dialogue that we have in Rwanda every year, where the people go on and on mentioning what is going well in Rwanda and forgetting what is not going well at all in the country. And everybody is very happy with what they have and with the government and how it is treating the people. But it is our responsibility to say that some things are not going well, but we go beyond that. We say we can do something about it. According to the word that the song that we started this conversation with, where we were saying this, reminded that what happens in the world, it is our responsibility to make things better. There's no other ways around. We need to contribute. And so, Nicholas, thank you for participating. Maybe if there is one person who would to ask a question, that I would give them a mic. But if there is nobody wanting to say something about what we discussed today, we will have other conversations like this one, because one of the objectives of Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, it is awareness. And one of the ways we're going to use is the social media platform like this one we are on. So what I would ask, request, is for you to follow the social media accounts of the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect. We have a next account, we have a Instagram account, we have a TikTok account, we have a Facebook account, so that you know what we are doing, so that you help us disseminate the information. You help us to make sure that everybody understands that things are not okay for many Rwandans, and that Rwandans are taking their own destiny in their hands by trying to educate themselves, by trying to support each other, by trying to get support. Because if you don't ask for support, nobody is going to support you. That is how we meet Nicholas. That is how we meet other people in the region. And as you mentioned, actually, we support our brothers and sisters in the East African region. We have a very difficult sub-region of Africa. We have presidents who have been for 40 years. That is a sign of injustice somewhere. And we understand it because we live it in our own country. So we support people who are suffering, who are struggling in Uganda, in DRC, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Burundi. Everywhere we have the suffering, we want to let the world know that Africa also deserves a better place. Its children to strive, to live happy lives, and to contribute to their own happiness and to the happiness of the entire community. So, Ansber, what will be your last word for this topic today?
My closing remarks, Eric, is to basically thank you for the great job that you're doing. Again, it's outstanding, it's commendable, it's a sacrifice. I know um, times you host these things in different time zones. Um, so thank you for your sacrifice and commitment to this cause, but also to thank our audience, those who've been with us from the start, those who joined later on. We thank you for your time and to be patient and listen to us and try to understand what Metics is all about or what our goals and objectives are. What I might say as a closing remark is that we are starting a journey. It's a noble cause, it's a just cause, and once again, I'm appealing to everyone, to all Rwandans, all young people in the region, or anyone that feels that they have something to contribute, they have something to give, they have an idea to contribute in order to um, at least assist and support the marginalized Rwandans, both inside Rwanda and outside Rwanda. I also want to emphasize that we are an NGO, we're not a political organization, which means that we have boundaries, we have operational lines that we have to follow. So if anyone out there is really keen and interested in the idea, we welcome. We're very open to welcome them to be amongst us. Also, again, mentioning about the launch, if you are in Brussels or you live around Brussels, Europe, I would love to hear you, to have a discussion at our launch on the 7th of March, 2026. Please come along. Let's have these discussions. Let's go a bit deeper into things and actually work together in unity, in unison, to try and address the issues that we face as people, as a society, as young people, as Rwandans. We believe that in unity, we believe that in collaborations, in working together, we can definitely achieve all the goals that we have mentioned in this discussion. Otherwise, Eric, thank you. May God bless you. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Yeah, thank you, Ansberg. Can you give me a moment because Nicholas wants to say something? Yeah, Nicholas, go ahead.
Yes,
1
what I
minute.
wanted
Yeah.
to say,
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to say is that this initiative is really an honorable one. And within the region, because I'm somebody who is based within the region as we speak, within the region, this fact of the fact that there are refugees, and these refugees who are suffering, and people in the country are not as free as people think. That fact is not well known. And the fact that you are intent on organizing, I think, some forums in Europe is admirable. But I would also maybe encourage you to join some of the organizations and forums that youth in and around the region organize from time to time, especially here online, so that at least you can also give a view of what the situation is for our brothers in Rwanda. And then, because I've also interacted with actually Rwandese, but who are not necessarily staying in Rwanda, Rwandese who are actually living in Congo, So I think this knowledge should be shared far and wide among our brothers within the region so that people can know that we have brothers who are actually the situation, the condition of Rwanda is quite a unique one within the region, because for me, who has ever been there and who has also ever interacted with brothers from Rwanda who are not necessarily residing in Rwanda, for me, I understand some of the dynamics that are playing within the country. But there are a lot of people within the region who do not know that, even people who are actually well-read and educated. Please, you join some of the forums, because I attend a lot of forums from brothers in Kenya, and then from brothers in Uganda. Here in South Sudan, we have not yet started being very active online, but at least I see that it would serve this initiative if the plight of brothers in Rwanda is shared, especially among people in the region. The region right now is really facing poor governance, let me say, generally speaking. And there is a lot of, I think, solidarity that uh, we can we can share amongst ourselves as people within the region. And the only way we can share that solidarity is through communicating and letting each other know the plight that we are facing as a people in the region. This issue of poor governance and bad governance, dictatorship, is a problem that we all uh, are experiencing within the region. I know that the main subject of discussion is the issue of the displacement, refugee, and the condition, the well-being of its people inside the country and abroad. But that all points to poor governance, really. So let us join our voices as people within the region, so that you know we know about the plight of each other. After all, um, the nearest place that all of us find ourselves running to is always to the neighborhood. Yeah, I don't know if you understand the context within which I'm using that word neighborhood, but it would sound well if we all understand each other on a community basis. We all understand each other's problems, so that we have this spirit of welcoming each other because we understand the plight of another brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas, for your remarks again. And Asbert, before you leave, uh, just a few words about what Nicholas said. And there is this question in the chat. Someone, Ruhumuriza, said they are Rwandan refugees who have lived a suffering life in Uganda, DRC. What plans do you have for them? Do you plan to open a chapter in Uganda? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, again, I'm sorry because I'll have to leave very soon. Unfortunately, I'm on a different time zones. It's in the morning at 6:30 in the morning in my time, so I have to be leaving soon. Um, but what I want to emphasize or to consolidate is about what our friend Nicholas said, that we have to start um, joining and forming collaborations with other um, people in the same sort of context and same issues with us, both in regional countries and probably even beyond the region. So it's part of our goal, Nicholas. It's our third goal on forming collaborations uh, and also joining forces or joining hands with people that are in the same situations as us, sharing our plight, as you have mentioned. So, Eric, I think this is probably something that we should put on our agenda and actually identify those platforms and get ourselves involved, get this voice, issues expressed on those platforms as well, and see if we can have meaningful relationships with other youth across the region. In terms of the question about refugees in DRC and in Uganda, we do not only intend to form chapters in those countries, but we intend to form chapters across the world, and we intend to reach to all refugees in Uganda, in DRC, in Cameroon, in South Africa, in in Zambia, because I know for a fact that there are refugees in those countries. I have traveled in many parts of Africa. I have seen them. I have gone to refugee camps. I know that Rwandan refugees are everywhere. You go to Kakuma, you find refugees there. You go to Nakivale in Uganda, there are refugees in the camp. There are Rwandan refugees. There are a lot of them. You go to Maheba in Zambia, or Tongogara in Zimbabwe, or Zareka in Malawi. You see refugees there, Rwandan refugees. So the issue is not isolated Congo and DRC. The issue is quite widespread. Um, in fact, there are even countries that do not even have refugee camps. So that means that the support that refugees get through UNHCR do not reach to these people that do not have refugee camps. For instance, people who live in South Africa, they don't have a refugee camp. Refugees have to really struggle to make a living because they don't get any help from any government agency or non-government agencies. So we aim to have chapters across the world. We aim to reach out to as many refugee groups, camps as we can, and open chapters. For the gentleman that asked the question, you can reach out to us through a direct contact to Eric. We also have an email that we should share in the chat below, and also can visit our website as well, Rwandan Metics connect.org. You can find it online and reach out to us if you live in certain areas or regions that you believe that we should be connecting. We're very happy to do that. So again, thank you very much for those questions and for your time. I really appreciate on behalf of Metics. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to have these discussions, talk about our plight, talk about our journeys, our stories in a reflective and positive way, in a way that aims to address the problems, in a way that makes sure that those who come after us will not have to live the same way we lived, the same lives that we lived, the same refugee journeys that we walked. That is the primary goal of Metics, to ensure that generations that will come live a much better life, have a much better childhood than we did. Thank you very much, Eric. I think you might excuse me if that's okay.
Yeah, Ansber, thank you for your time. Thank you for this discussion and for what you have shared with us about Rwandan Metics Youth Connect. Again, the Rwandan Metics Youth Connect has a website that is www.rwandametics.org. And if you want to write to us, you can use our email that is info@rwandametics.org. So please, as Asper was mentioning, those, for example, Humuriza, if you want, you can contact us. We can keep discussing about what we can do, because the idea behind Rwandan Metics Youth Connect, it is the connection. It is to understand that it is our own hands. It is in our own resources that we're going to find the solutions to our problems and to the problems of our brothers and sisters. So I want to thank everybody for joining this discussion today. Thank you very much. These discussions are going to happen many times. We are going to talk about these issues over and over again. We'll not get tired to talk about these issues, because what we mean is for this to change in a better way, to have a country that treats well their citizen. If not, we try ourselves to do it, and for us and for our brothers. So thank you very much. See you next time.